Good evening, everybody. Back here with another video for you all. So we'll jump right into it. We had some lectures today that reviewed some older content that we had. So some of the cards, I guess I just want to start the video that some of the cards that may be helpful for this content I had activated back in ISOM. Um, so quite some time ago, but I'll show you generally where to find it. So if you do want to go look for it, activate those cards, you can find them if you don't have them activated already. So we'll get right into it. And then there were a couple of cards I edited, so I'll try to find those for you again and show you what changed so that way you have the correct information that we need for the test and what we were taught today. So we'll start right in with first day. We're going to be in biochemistry today, back from somewhere we haven't been in quite some time. So biochemistry, and then you want to jump down to nutrition and vitamins, and you're going to jump into vitamin B1. And there's a lot of stuff in vitamin B1, but the main part you want to go to is the basics. And if you don't have any of the basics, I recommend getting all of them. They're all good. Um, just to know for boards, and then as well as because we had to know for ISOM. But the three big key ones that you had to know from Dr. Masurus's lecture are these last three here. Talking about transketolotase, and this one is kind of, you have to think about it for a minute, but ATP depletion in relation to vitamin B deficiency will worsen with glucose infusion. And the reason being that when you add glucose, you're going to increase your lactate levels. And when you increase your lactate levels, you're going to need that NADPH to resolve that and take care of the oxidative stress that happens in red blood cells. So if you don't have the vitamin B1 to help with the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, I believe, you're not going to get any NADPH to help with that oxidative stress, and it's going to make it really worse. So yeah, I thought that'd be a good one to kind of correlate that. So pick those three up here, stop rambling and move on. So we'll get out of nutrition, and then we're going to jump right back down into metabolism right below it. There's a lot of cards here, so I'll try not to get lost with you here. But first, we're going to come down. So in 6, in metabolism, come down to 17, the pentose phosphate pathway. Grab all of the cards here except for these 4. These 4 are the same. It's the same card with just different words missing in the question stem for the card. It has like adrenal glands, liver, lactating mammary gland, and red blood cells for where the HMP shunt activity is mostly found. I'm just going to remember it's mainly found in red blood cells. I'm going to leave it at that. And just remember that from Mid-Source's lecture. I didn't feel like these were high yield, so save yourself 4 cards here. Otherwise, everything else is good to have. Then we're going to jump to glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. Click on basics, get all of them. Those are all great. And then glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. If you have yours ordered like this, you can kind of follow the same pattern I have here. So this first card here talking about why NADPH is needed. And then you can count down on your screen and pause it, however many of these are. But the one you don't want is when you start talking about like Mediterranean, African. When I was talking about the ethnic backgrounds for who has a higher cause of the disease or a higher chance of having the disease, she just mentioned them like generally. I think there were 3 or 4. This one's really asking some detailed questions about it, so I didn't feel like those were necessary. And then as well as these 2 cards here, I didn't feel like those would be as necessary either. And then we didn't grab this card because she didn't really talk about the half-life of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, but I did grab the one below it, and then none of those below that, just because these were like some kind of niche clinical ones that I thought. And then I didn't feel like I had to go dive too deep in the drugs, although I did add one in relation to a sulfa antibiotic somewhere up here. But these ones I didn't feel like were too necessary. And that is it for that part. And then we're going to scroll all the way back down to the bottom here. We're going to start in cholesterol. In cholesterol, you can activate all of them if you want, and then unactivate the first 3, and then find this one. I don't feel like we needed to know this. This is a like fun fact. that I didn't feel like was that important, that Onking has. And then we're going to go down to the next one, which I have, is going to be major apolipoproteins. But if you wanted to, you could jump into like lipid transport and key enzymes in lipid transport. If you don't have these activated, these might be some helpful cards. As you can see, I have a lot of them activated. I've had them in my rotation since ISOM. Same with these ones. So I'm up to date on it, but if you are not and you want to go through these cards and get some extra cards that might be helpful for this upcoming test as well as boards, this is where you can find those. Otherwise, we're going to go to 45. And like I said, I have some activated. So the only new one I activated was this one here. The apoprotein A1 is a major component of HDL. The only ones I don't have activated are these ones just because this detail wasn't mentioned in our lecture, so I'm omitting it. But it has details on like A1, B100, B48, C2, ApoE, everything that we reviewed today that is very important in transport and processing and the deficiencies of the dyslipidemias. And then from 45, we were moving to 47. Grab all of these. These are all great. And then we're going to move to the familial dyslipidemias. And this one, there is some stuff that was changed. So we're going to start in 1, and you want to grab everything here, except there was one I changed, and it's this card right here, the third one. Which serum lipids are elevated in type 1 hyperlipoproteinemia? They have triglycerides and cholesterol. I put triglycerides primarily because that's what Dr. Peterfy has, is just triglycerides. So I didn't feel like I should go with Onking. I'm going to go with Dr. Peterfy because he's the one who told us the most up-to-date information, I feel, so I'm going to go with that. And that was the only card that was changed in this one. And then we're going to go to type 2 hypercholesterolemia and basics. Grab all of them. These are all good kind of correlations. And then we're going to go in 2A. And everything except these two cards here, talking about the specific numbers. I don't feel like that was necessary. And then there was one card that I changed in here as well. And it's this card talking about the mode of inheritance. So it is autosomal dominant, but it demonstrates a codominant, like it's codominant. Is the way it's inherited. If you're heterozygote, it's codominance. So I left autosomal dominant because that's what he has, and then he has in parentheses the CO for the codominant. So if I think the right answer would be mode of inheritance is codominant fashion with an autosomal dominant. Yeah, codominance. Just that catch there. So that way when you practice reviewing and studying that correctly. And then we're going to go to type 3, all of them except this card here, just because APO E3 and E4, some details we didn't need to know. He mentioned E2, which is like a fun fact, but still not on the test. And there was something here I changed as well. And that was the card, right? Where's this one here? So your card, I believe, had chylomicrons and VLDL. He specifically mentioned IDL and chylomicron remnants, as those are like the follow-up to VLDL and chylomicrons that actually have the ApoE that is needed to get back to the liver, back to the next step of processing. So these are like after they've chylomicrons and VLDL have been dealt with by lipoprotein lipase and adipose cells. So these are like what's next and what is actually needing ApoE in order to go to the next step. So this is what he has on his slides, and I think is a little more accurate to what the actual issue is. So there is that change, and that is it. We don't have to know 2B. We don't have to know type 4. So if you remember from his slides, just the 3 that were highlighted, which was type 1, 2A, and 3. And then, yep, we mentioned that that word. And then we're going to jump down to somewhere we haven't been yet, and it was kind of a little difficult to find. So first aid, we're going to jump down into gastrointestinal, GI. And once you open GI, open up the pathology subset. you're going to scroll down until you hit number 39. So the words are kind of hard to follow, but if you just follow the numbers 39, antitrypsin deficiency. And this is that little short PowerPoint that Dr. Matsouras presented. So you want to activate the first two, then skip the next three. The ones with these histological stains you don't need. They're not from her lecture that I feel would be helpful. And then you can activate the rest. And then when you don't need is what is the normal allele for alpha antitrypsin. Dr. Matsouras just didn't mention this. If you want, you can pick it up. It's not too much to learn because the abnormal is PIZ. But there's that if you want it, or if you don't want it, like I don't have it to save myself a card, you can unactivate it. So just these four. And that is it for today's video. I know I got 2 out today, so you should have a lot of new cards. But that is good because we got time to study and midterms coming up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.